Hi, ladies. At my last class with Michelle a couple of weeks ago, I told the ladies about this altered book journal of mine, and when I mentioned it, there was quite a bit of interest for people to learn to make their own. In all the years that I've been journaling, this book, this one here, is my absolute favorite. I treated it as a whole project to finish, so it's one whole piece to look at. Um, and it was just so fun to do. It was very, very freeing to do this journal. And it gave me an opportunity to use a lot of my older things that I don't normally use in like my Marlene journals. It was just so much fun. And I thought I would just share because some people were interested in doing this. So when we do this workshop, it will probably be a full day. So normally the classes are 9 to 2, but it will be a full day of doing this because there's quite a lot of prep work. And then once you get stuck in, the hours go by very, very quickly. So I thought I would just give you a little flip through of what I did and then just tell you a couple of things that you can bring along. So the idea behind this class is you will bring your book, and then we will all bring our little bits and bobs, and we will put them all together and share them and see what we can come up with. So we've got a lot of things lying around our stashes that we are sick of. But if somebody else saw them, it's completely new to them. And if you saw somebody else's older stash, it will be completely new to you. So it's going to be kind of a bring and share day, and we will just get creative together. So this was my first one. I decorated the cover at the very end because I wanted to get a feel for what is inside the journal first before I did the cover. Okay, so really just very free and loose. I did some sketches in there. I had some stamped images, another sketch. There's a lot of drips and just smears of paint in this journal. I've got a lot of tiny little pieces, and I've also got these torn pages. So that was part of the charm for me in this book, is to tear the pages and just make them a little bit more interesting. And you can see I've got some vintage photos, die cuts, doilies, all sorts. This is actually an envelope that I stuck down and sketched on. So you can see a lot of little face sketches. I do love a good face. If you've ever been in my classes, you'll know that. Little embellishment stacks. So this stack was made separately, and then I just popped it in. I've got some foam here, pieces of fabric and buttons, more sketches, vintage photos. So if you don't have vintage photos, the Tim Holtz vintage little people will work really great. Got some rice papers, and you can see just how textured and interesting this book is. And it is such a joy to look at. This is a piece of transparency sheet, and I just did some stenciling on the back there. So that's the back part. I'm just going to go a little bit quicker so you don't have to spend all day looking through this. I do a little bit of journaling in there as well. And even on the pages that's got a lot of white space, if you are a journaler, there is a lot of space left for you to journal in. This was very old little leaflet. Again, a torn page. Lots of messy stenciling. I really, really love that. I've got some ruffles, torn pages. So what started as just an ordinary book ended up being quite a beautiful, chunky project. You can see how big that book is compared to it would have been probably just that big. And then I did finish off with a little key. I've got that key somewhere in here as well. I ended my page by saying it's not the end because I loved this so much that I knew I was going to make another one. So then the next one I am busy with. The next one here, haven't worked in it in a while. There she is. Okay, so what you will need for this is a book. You can hop over to the SPCA or the hospice shop and just grab a second-hand book there that's really cheap. I mean, you don't even have to spend R5 on it. I don't have an extra book here that I could show you, but this was just like a novel hardcover. That's the best to work in. And if you could find a book that's got stitching, that'll hold better. The moment you have one that's glued and you add your paint in that, your glue is going to come loose. So try and find one that's got stitching. Okay, so what are things that you could bring? You could bring your leftover scrapbook paper that you don't use all that often, or from old collections that's just, you're sick of it. Sorry, I just spilled my alphabet everywhere. So scrapbook paper, stickers, little ephemeras. This is like a little diamond sticker. I've got some vintage looking stickers. Washi tape is fabulous. I've got tiny little pockets here. Ribbon is great. What else? You can see I've just got all my scraps. I've got some phrases. These are little cork tabs that I've got. These are from a book. So I had a butterfly book and I had a bird book. And I just cut some birds and butterflies from there. Old fabric. I used this piece of cloth to clean up some of my paint, and I really love the way that it turned out. This is an alcohol ink project that I had going. I've got stamped images there. This is from a book that I've got that's got all like vintage looking pictures of people that are very, very old. This is an old measuring tape. I've got some sewing bits here. This is just when you test your sewing machine and all the stitches that it's got that my mom made for me. I've got ruffles. So you can see all sorts of little things. Swatch cards. This is from an old masterboard that I made. All sorts of little bits and bobs. This was actually when we put our new zinc in. It came in a box and it had this writing on, and I really, really loved it. So I just saved it. Doilies, of course, are always fun. Okay, then other things that you can bring is vintage photos. I have these vintage photos from a very, very old album. Flashcards are fun. Flashcards, I love using numbers in my work. I've got some pockets, envelopes, budget pockets, index cards, tags, vintage or old music paper, music sheets that are really fun. I mean, even these images that are on here can be fussy cut and used in the book. And you can see that's just some music. In here, I've got some alphabet stamps This is a Dina Wakley stamp, and I just stamped it out a gazillion times on different pieces of paper. They'll be fun to use. There are also some postage stamps and other die cuts and stickers. These are some circles that I did. This is from a paper punch. So anything really that you've got lying around, you can bring that. I love using neon paints in my books because I do struggle with the vintage vibe. I do like to add some neon colors just to make it less vintagey. So neon colors, sprays are good. I've got some diluted acrylic paint in here to use as a pen nib, and then of course your paint pens. And then for glue, we can use just a normal wet glue. You could use double-sided tape or staplers. Those are all great. Even a glue stick is fine. Oh, I've also got some gold leaf that'll be fun to use. So I'm sorry, this video took a much longer than I thought it would. But I hope that's okay with you guys. And I hope to see you at this workshop. Bye.